Are you ready?
I think we are.
Are you ready? I'm going to start by saying Assalamu alaikum
Wa rahmatullahi
wa barakatuh.
My name's Junaid Rahim.
My name's Mohammed Yusuf Bashforth.
Do you know, affectionately we're known as...
The two white Muslims.
Now, I have to say, not a name we gave ourselves, but we have been reliably informed there's three very good reasons why it was given to us. Reason number one.
There are two of us.
Reason number two.
We're both white.
Most importantly, though, reason number three.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We are both
Muslim.
And really proud to be so. Alhamdulillah.
And that's why we've been invited here today. You know, the topic is about dawah, is about passing on the beauty of Islam.
Absolutely.
When we say we're Muslim, you can probably tell by looking at us, we weren't always.
No.
You know what I mean? We have come to this incredible faith. We're going to talk about that in a second. We've been asked to share our journeys to Islam. But if I start, Yusuf, by asking you a question, were you seeking out Islam?
No.
Was Islam looking for you?
I have no idea at the time. I had no idea. What did I know about Islam?
Well, I'll ask you. Did you know anything about Islam?
No.
Right.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you similar questions today.
Yes.
So, were you seeking out the truth of Islam?
No.
Did you know anything about Islam?
No.
So, you weren't then attracted towards Islam in any way then?
No, you mean that foreign religion?
Yeah,
No.
that one practiced by all brown people.
No.
No? You didn't?
Shambolic.
I know. Crazy, crazy. So what happened? What went wrong?
Yeah, where did it all go wrong? Well, I just want to first pick up on a question that was asked by a brother while Brother Farouk was talking. We're going to talk about dawah. We're going to share our stories because we've been asked to do that. We're going to talk about dawah. And the wonderful brother asked the question, should we give dawah to Muslims or to non-Muslims? Great question. Such a great question. Because I think we're here to kind of answer that question by saying, yes, both. Oh my goodness.
In at least equal measure.
Yes, yes. Because we were given a gift, and we're going to discuss that in a second, and we want to share that gift with as many people as possible. But some people were born with that gift. They just don't know it. And we need to share that with them as well. So before we go into our journeys, we'll just say, you were walking along the streets of Manchester.
I was walking along Wilmslow Road in Manchester, looking for something to eat. I didn't have to look far, to be fair. And a brother walked up to me and he said, "Oh, you're the two white Muslims." And I said, no, brother, I'm just one of them. And he said, "Oh, well, can I take a selfie with you? Take a selfie." And he got his phone out and he put it up here like this. And he said, smile, brother. So we both smiled and he took his selfies. And he said, "Brother, I've got to tell you a story. I've got to tell you about me because I was born Muslim. But about 10 years ago, I kind of left Islam and I put it behind me and I walked my own path and I went on my own journey and I turned my back on Islam." And he said, "I never felt good about that. I just felt that this was my path and it was a path of my choosing and I was going to walk this path myself." And then he said, "But one day I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go and pray Jummah." The first time in 5 years, this man walked into a masjid and he prayed his Jummah. And at the end of his Jummah, he put his hands up and offered a dua that said, "Allah, if you want me back, show me the way back." Yeah. And about 20 minutes later, his phone went ping. And a video appeared on his phone of us two, the two white Muslims. And he watched that video and laughed. It made him laugh. And then he watched a few more and he was interested. It made him interested. And then he watched a few more and he ended up watching everything that we'd ever done. And he said to me, he said, at that time, I realized that Islam is beautiful. Islam is accessible. Islam is normal. Islam is the truth. And he said, I came back to Islam. I now pray 5 times a day. I now fast in the month of Ramadan. I now give my zakat. I now this, that, and the other. And that man had become Muslim on the back of what we did. And I said to myself,
not on the back of what we did.
This is from Allah alone.
Yeah.
This is from Allah alone. All we can do is give information to people. True guidance is from Allah. And I said to Allah, I said, if all the work that we've done was for just that one person, then alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I get it now.
Alhamdulillah.
I get it.
Now I understand. But it wasn't for that one person, was it, Junaid?
No, not at all. We delivered a breakfast show on the Heritage Radio, so part of the British Military Heritage Centre, going across all of Manchester and the Greater Manchester area, and we did from 7 till 10 every morning, and then from 4 till 7 every evening, just delivering a show out to the general community in that area. Hundreds of thousands of potential listeners. And we once put out a competition.
I think the actual number was about 3.
Yes, yeah. A bloke, his wife, and their dog.
And their dog.
Yes, absolutely. And every time we came on, the dog went, it's time for the walk, it's time for the walk.
Subhanallah.
What a lovely pause. What a lovely pause. So, we were delivering this radio programme. We did this for a couple of years. And we thought, we're going to have a competition. And we did a competition. First prize for this competition, if people won the competition, was they got to come to the centre, have a tour of the centre, eat at the centre, meet all the trustees. Second prize, they got to meet us. And the winner of the competition said, oh, can I have second prize, please? And we said, no, we were joking. No, you get to go around the centre and meet all no, I want to meet you guys. Okay, really? And we said, okay, fine. And a hijabi sister turned up with her sister and brother-in-law.
Yep.
Because she was really nervous and really sort of scared and intimidated coming in. Why, I have no idea. In brief...
Clearly scared of you.
Yeah, exactly,
not
yes.
Me. Oh.
In brief, what she said was, I just wanted the opportunity to come in and say, just keep doing what you're doing. Dawah is so important. You do not know who you are reaching. And she gave a very similar story to the chap that we mentioned previously. Due to her, which is born Muslim, but due to her upbringing and the way maybe Islam had been forced upon her, she took a different path. She moved away from Islam. She stopped wearing a hijab. She didn't want anything to do with the religion at all. And her job meant that when she was driving to work, she could listen to our programme. And when she was returning from work, she could listen to our programme. And gradually, she just fell in love with Islam all over again. No compulsion, no being forced. She just fell in love with Islam. And again, praying 5 times a day, fasting during the month of Ramadan, wearing a hijab, and just wanted to come and say, oh my goodness, please, 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 keep putting this message out. Just keep making people laugh. Keep allowing them to realise Islam is cool. Islam is the truth. Islam is brilliant. Islam is not a control mechanism. Yeah, and so we have to give dawah to both Muslims and non-Muslims. Now, we still have non-Muslims also come to...
The non-Muslim example was when we were doing one of our podcasts.
Yes.
And we do them live and we put them out on YouTube and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And as we do them, we get people commenting. And a chap commented and said, I almost fell off my ladder laughing at what you guys were talking about. And we stopped, we just looked at each other and said, brother, climb down off your ladder.
Get off
Don't
your ladder.
fall off. Don't stop listening to us, but do it from the floor. Yeah. Please, don't. Can you imagine the paperwork if we get if we get sued for that?
Yeah. You made
my dad fall off his ladder. Subhanallah. So we said climb down and we just had a laugh about it.
Thought nothing of it.
Thought nothing of it. Now, 2 weeks later, we were doing another podcast. And this same chap contacted us again, messaged us.
We knew live. It was the same chap because he opened by saying...
I was the guy up the ladder. so we knew who it was. We knew. And he said, I didn't fall off my ladder. I came down. But a few days later, what I then did was went and visited a mosque and spoke to some brothers in the mosque. And this morning, I took my shahada. He said, thank you for what you do. and the way that you do it. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. You see, we don't even know what we're doing. We don't know the impact or the effort that we make, the impact it has on other people. We don't know. Allah guides people. And if Allah guides people to listen to our nonsense and then formulate a decision that they want to become Muslim as a result, then Allahu Akbar and Allahu Alam. You know, Allah knows best, alhamdulillah.
Let's very quickly consider the alternative. Now, we all know this was part of Allah's plan.
Yes.
We all know, ultimately, I was destined to be Muslim.
Yes.
Ultimately, Muhammad Yusuf was destined to be Muslim.
Yes.
But let's just consider for a second, how did you become Muslim? We'll do your journey, but basically what happened?
Muslims spoke to me and answered a few questions.
And exactly the same for me. And I sometimes wake up in a cold sweat thinking, but what if they didn't? What if I was at a different place? What if I didn't speak to them? What if I wasn't very nice? What if they weren't very nice? Oh my goodness. Let's be honest, if that Muslim had not come into my life...
Or those Muslims not come into my life at that time...
Where would you be today, this minute, now?
Right now, I've been nursing a headache from my hangover, having watched England lose to France last night.
Now, did you watch England lose to France last night?
I watched them lose to France last night.
Were you drinking when you did it?
No, I was at home with my lovely missus.
Who is also?
Muslim, alhamdulillah.
You know what I mean? This is the impact we have. This is the impact. And yes, I don't drink anymore. And yes, you know, I don't do other things. And I do lots of things. But I feel my soul was saved. These people saved my life. You know what I mean? This is the power of what you and we do. Don't ever lose sight of that.
Don't lose sight. One of the brothers mentioned, very, very importantly, the Visit My Mosque days that the UKM masjids hold each year. And they're so important, so important, because they give the opportunity for communities who know nothing about Islam and Muslims to come in and find things out. Now, I remember one day, you were filming this at the time. Do you remember?
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Do you remember this?
I'm glad I was behind the camera
because I had to field the questions and answers for the Visit My Mosque Day, and in this room there was about 35 non-Muslim people and a few Muslims dotted around for effect, and one English gentleman at the back, he stood up and he said this, and he said it exactly like this. He said, "What do Muslims actually want?" And I went, "Thank you, Allah, for putting me on the other side of the camera." And I thought, oh, wow, what a question. So I said, "Thank you for the question, brother. Thank you, thank you." And for anybody that didn't hear him, the question was, what do Muslims actually want? Well, do you know what? I can't speak for all Muslims. I can't. But myself, as a Muslim, I want the following things. I want a growing economy. I want safe streets. I want education for my children. And if I'm really honest, what I also want is a season ticket for Manchester United. Now, when I said that, everybody burst out laughing like it was a joke.
It divided the room a little because we were in Leeds.
We were in Leeds at the time. I chose the wrong team. I feared for my life in that moment. I really did. But, you know, Allah saved me again. Allah saved me.
But his
face completely changed. Oh, you want what I want. Apart from Leeds United. But, you know, that's it. We are the same. We all want the same things. We desire the same things in our lives, and we want the same things for our families and children. There's no difference. Subhanallah. And when people finally realise that there are no barriers, there are no real major differences between us, that is what breaks the walls down that provide a problem with communication. There are no problems with communicating with people as a Muslim, none at all, alhamdulillah. So
very quickly, we were asked to give our journeys because if we consider where we started and now we're not finished, I'd like to think we're going to make it home, you know what I mean? But where we are today, it helps because you might not appreciate what it's like to be, as my wife keeps reminding me, white. But to kind of...
Does she not say Gora?
Gora, yeah. And then when I say it, she goes, "You're not a horse." Gora. So, if we consider...
I was on Hajj. I was walking...
Oh, some people just got that.
The horse, the horse. I was on Hajj, and I was in my hotel one morning getting breakfast. Okay, and the breakfast was a buffet. So I got my plate and I was walking along towards this wonderful looking food. And I heard from this side of me, Gora! And I stopped with my plate and I looked around and there were two sisters at the table. One elderly lady and what obviously was her daughter at the table. And her daughter said, "Oh, sorry, brother, sorry. She didn't mean it. She didn't. And I was thinking, well, she said it. Loud enough. So how do I deal with this? And she said, sorry, so sorry. I said, look, stop. Call me Mr. Gora. Show some respect.
Show some respect, woman.
Show some respect. And when I did that, again, everybody round burst out laughing. It's the only way to diffuse situations. Do it with a bit of humour and a bit of humility. And... sorry, I've forgotten where we were.
No, so, if we just explain where we came from.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of where we are today. I'm going to get Brother Yusuf to begin. So if you'd like to take the microphone.
I was born and raised as a Roman Catholic. Alhamdulillah. I was a Catholic boy. I went to Catholic school. I went to church every Sunday. My uncle was a parish priest. I was very much in the church zone. I was there. I was part of it. And do you know what? As a child, I felt really special because I knew that I had the love of two parents, which was great. I had the love of my brothers, my siblings. That was great too. But I also had the love of God. Alhamdulillah. And that feeling as a child is so important. And it made me feel so good, so good. And I lived my life in reverence to that and in pursuit of my Catholic faith. Alhamdulillah. Now, when I got to the age of 18, I started asking rather more difficult questions, and questions on things that I simply didn't understand. And I needed some help here. I needed some information, some guidance here. So I asked the priests these questions, and the priests just gave me a patronising pat on the head, which just said, "Just have faith, son." Now that wasn't enough for me, because what you'd never know about me, I hide this really well, is that actually I'm an intelligent guy. And the subhanallah. Mashallah. So the patronising pat on the head simply didn't cut it for me. So what ended up happening was that at the age of 18, I turned my back on the institution of the church and went on my own journey, just like the other people that we've talked about already. I went on my own journey to find the truth. It was 10 years later, I was 28 years old at this time, that I found myself working in an office in Bradford. You can probably guess the rest, can't you? There were some Muzzies in that office. Oh, sorry, is that disrespectful? Is that disrespectful?
Mr. Muslim.
Mr. Muzzy. Yeah, that's right. There were some Muslims in that office, and I used to ask them the same questions. And instead of giving me the patronising pat on the head and saying, "Just have faith, son," what these people gave me the answers. Not just the answers, but they backed them up with evidence. They said, "Look, this is what it says in the Quran about that." I was going, wow, that's amazing. And this is what our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say about this subject. And he used to say this. I was thinking, wow, he's just answered my question. That's genius. That's incredible. So I continued to ask rather a lot of questions. But over a period of time, I got rather a lot of answers. And I got the answers in a way that I understood. And I valued and trusted these answers. SubhanAllah. Now, one day, one of these people gave me a copy of the Quran. And I said, whoa, not going that far, boy. This is your Bible. I've got my own at home. I'll stick with that, thank you very much. And they said, no, you must take this, take it. And as I took it out of his hands, he said, "Keep it covered. Yeah, wrapped in a nice cloth. Keep it covered. When you take it home, put it on a shelf. Don't put anything on top of it. Don't put it on the floor. And before you read it, have a wash. Make sure you're clean. And I thought, that's so much respect for a book. That's amazing. So I took it home really carefully and I put it on a shelf and I left it there for 6 months. And almost every day it was, have you started reading the book yet? And I'd say, no, I was too busy. Too busy? Why? What were you doing last night? I said, Coronation Street was on last night. And I can't miss that. So it was any excuse not to read this book. But one Sunday, and it was, I remember it being a Sunday because this is how old I am. This is before the age of mobile phones. I didn't know where my mates were. There was nothing on TV. It was raining outside. And this book was staring down at me from this shelf. So I thought, oh, here we go. I'd better start this thing. So I went upstairs and I had a wash. I came back downstairs, blew the dust off it. Boom, big plume of dust. I unwrapped it and I opened it up. And I had to open it up from the back. It was backwards, this book. It was crazy. So I opened the book and the first words that I read were, in the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. And I thought, wow, that's a good way to start a book. Yeah, that's genius. Genius. It's brilliant. Of course we all know it's Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So I carried on and I said, praise be to Allah, Lord of the whole of creation. We know this, don't we? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We know this. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Master of the Day of Judgment. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. It is you alone that we worship. It's you alone that we ask for help. I was thinking, help? What with? What do I need help with? Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Help to guide us down the straight path. And I was thinking, oh, every line I was reading, I was like mentally ticking this off, saying, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, genius. And by the time that I got to the end of Al-Fatiha, I turned to the back of the book to see who'd written this thing, who's the author, because this is genius. And of course it doesn't tell you who the author is in the back of the Quran. We all know who the author is, yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I didn't know at the time, so I just carried on reading. And it says Alif Lam Mim, which is a bit weird. I didn't know what that meant, and to be honest, 32 years later, I still don't. Not many of us do, subhanallah. But then it says, Dhalikul Kitab la Rayb fi huda lil muttaqin. Here is a book, a kitab, la Rayb, where there is no doubt. Huda, guidance, guidance for those who believe in the unseen, for those who establish their prayer, for those who, and I was thinking, this is me? So this is guidance for me? Why didn't anybody tell me to read this thing sooner? And of course they had to be every day for almost 6 months. SubhanAllah. So, you know, I read the Quran from cover to cover. It took a long time to do that. And there were some challenging concepts in there, I have to admit. But I used to go back and ask questions on these challenging concepts and I got answers. And at the end of the Quran, I made my decision. And my decision was to grow myself a beard, buy myself a man dress and find a mosque. And that's exactly what I went and did. Alhamdulillah, 32 years later, here I am talking to you great people.
My journey, we would say my journey is very similar and completely different. I was born as a Christian, but I was born as a proper Christian. Church of England.
No.
Roman Catholic. He's that foreign muck.
No.
We've been at war hundreds of years, you know, Protestant.
What do you mean hundreds of years? He's still here now. There's only one way to settle this, mate. Are you starting?
He's bigger than me. So I was born into a Church of England household. I remember going to church. I remember going to Sunday school. And I remember all these wonderful things, just as Yusuf says, going to church, it was amazing, it was brilliant. And then we moved house, and when we moved house, I was only young, I was only about 5 or 6, and for whatever reason, my parents didn't go to church anymore. They kind of stopped going to church, but I was still fascinated. I still wanted to go, so I went to Sunday school, and then I actually joined what I now know is the most inappropriately named Christian group. I joined a Christian group called the Crusaders. Oh my goodness, we were called Crusaders, what? And we went there 3 times a week, and we learned about God, and it was brilliant, yes, fantastic, all great, all great. But then when I sort of hit my teenage years, I kind of, other things became more attractive, cars, football, girls, alcohol, all the things that in the Western society are normal, perfectly normal. And they kind of pulled me away from the church, from the practice of faith. I still believed in God, that never changed, but I wasn't practicing. Nor, as we pointed out earlier, was I looking to practice. So fast forward a few years, I've got a fantastic job, I've got a wonderful car, great house, all things are brilliant, high five, you know what I mean? It was awesome. Now, I was raised in Sheffield. I was born in the 70s, raised in the 70s, 80s, early 90s. South side of Sheffield, I didn't meet Muslims. I didn't see Muslims. Everybody at my school was white. Everybody who I then worked with was white. And even when I was doing this amazing job, I was running training courses in the motor trade. That's for white people back then. Yeah, we're talking a good few decades ago. So the only people I met were either Christian or non-Christian, but they certainly weren't Muslim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm going to make a little start again. Just before the break, I was kind of giving you an idea as to where I came from, how my journey into and beyond Islam kind of came about. Quick summary, I was born in 1970. Yeah, so I was raised in the 70s and the 80s. I was raised on the south side of Sheffield, which basically meant I was in white world. Yeah, I didn't meet Muslims. I didn't mix with Muslims. I knew nothing about Islam. I then went to work and nothing changed. I only really mixed with people who very much looked like myself. White male, dominated environment. And then my job was actually to run training courses. And one of the courses that we ran was a 2-week residential training course. So we were in a hotel for 2 weeks training, the same bunch of people, and then they'd go and then we'd get the next bunch of people in, and they pretty much all looked like me, if I'm honest. And then on one course, we started the course, and I noticed that there was a couple of guys who weren't eating or drinking during the day. Now, as the person hosting them and the person running the course, that kind of upset and if I'm honest, offended me a little bit. What's wrong with my food? You know what I mean? What's the matter? So I took them on one side and said, is everything okay? Why are you not eating the food? We paid for this food. And they said, oh no, do forgive me. It's Ramadan. And I, of course, said, and what is this Ramadan of which you speak? My ignorance knew no bounds. I did not know what Ramadan was. And they said, oh, it's part of our religion. It's part of Islam. We're Muslims. So join. And then they started to explain what Ramadan was. So I now know my heart was open because it was Ramadan. I didn't know at the time. I now know Allah had a plan. I didn't know at the time. So I said, okay, so tell me about Ramadan, and then tell me about Islam, and tell me about your religion. And where everybody else would disappear through to the bar every evening, if I'm honest, I'd go and sit with these guys. I'd be chatting to these guys. It was fascinating. And it's a great indication as to if you find the right people at the right time and they give you the right message in the right way. It's easy, this dawah work, isn't it? It's
There's
easy.
no stopping it, is there?
Yeah, it's
There's
so
no
easy.
stopping it.
So I said, go on then, tell me about your religion. Tell me about your religion. And they said, well, actually, let's discuss our religions. And they said, tell me, have you ever heard of Adam? And I went, well, of course I've heard of Adam. Adam was the first man on earth. He's in the Bible. He's the first man, first human. Of course I've heard of Adam. And they went, yeah, as Muslims, we believe in Adam as well. He was actually the first prophet here on earth. He was created by Allah and placed on earth. He's a prophet of Islam. I think, oh, that's interesting. They went, have you ever heard of Noah? And I went, well, of course I've heard of Noah. He's the one with the boat. Sorry, ark. He's the one with the ark. Yeah, he's the one with the ship. He saved his family and as a result saved the whole of humanity. You know, he's amazing. We learned about it in Christian school. He's in the Bible. And they went, well, Noah's also a prophet of Islam. We believe in Prophet Noah. You know, we think he's amazing. And then they said, have you ever heard of Jesus? And I'm like, whoa, he's ours. Hang on just a second. You know what I mean? And they're like, no, tell me, what do you know of Jesus? I go, well, Jesus is everything in our religion. He's everything, you know, he's the Son of God. He's you know, he's amazing. It's Jesus, isn't it? It's Jesus. In it. And they said, yeah, we believe in Jesus as well. We think Jesus is amazing. Jesus is a prophet of Islam. We love Jesus. In fact, have you heard of the Prophet Muhammad? I went, okay, I've heard the name. Said Jesus is mentioned by name more times than the Prophet Muhammad in the Holy Quran. We have an entire chapter dedicated to his mum, dedicated to Mary in the Quran. And for me, this was like, does not compute, does not, what? And they said, yeah, we believe that all these amazing people came to give us a message, an incredibly important message. But as human beings, we're a bit rubbish, and we kept forgetting it, or we kept changing it, or we kept twisting it. So we believe that all these prophets, your Noahs, your Lots, your Jacobs, your Jobs, all of these were prophets of Islam. And then we have another prophet, the Prophet Muhammad, who we call the seal of the prophets, but he's in the same line. And all that happened is he brought exactly the same message, the correct message, the truth. And all of a sudden, I started realizing that I was getting answers to questions I didn't know I'd been asking. Whereas Brother Yusuf was out asking questions, I just happily accepted everything. And then all of a sudden I'm going, so you're saying Jesus is not the Son of God? And they went, no, he's not the Son of God. He's amazing, he's brilliant, and we love him, but he's not the Son of God. And I'm like, that makes so much sense. Because if he was the Son of God, I'm not being funny, nobody would have killed him, nobody would have put him on trial. He'd have been there with thunderbolts coming out of his head, he'd be like Thor, you know what I mean? And you think, no, so he wasn't a god? He's not a god, he's a human being, but an amazing human being. You think, oh wow, that's amazing. So I just find myself fascinated, and we're talking and we're chatting, and I'm asking question after question after question. So all of a sudden I'm getting really interested, and that's scary, because I kind of know where this is leading. I don't want to be Muslim. I don't want to follow your religion of Islam. So I'll be honest, I started looking for the flaw. I started looking for the problem. I started looking for the issues, and I asked question after question after question. And the individual that I was asking said, no, this is great, because as you're asking these questions, I'm learning too. Okay, that's interesting. And if they knew the answer, they'd give the answers. And if not, they'd go away, find the answers, and they'd give it. Just as Yusuf says, supported by, look at this quote, look at this from the Hadith, look at this. This was written 1400 years ago, mind-blowing. Well, then the course ends. And I haven't had a drink for 10 days now, an alcoholic drink, which for me, unbelievable, because I've been sat talking to these guys. It's incredible. They disappear, and I'm like, you can't just go. So we get telephone calls, and I'm ringing, and I'm ringing, and I'm ringing, and I'm asking question after question after question after question after question, and they're giving me answers to every single question. Answers to every single question. It was incredible. And I said, thank you so much. And they said, no. As I'm doing this with you, I'm learning as well. Oh, brilliant. Eventually, I think I'd asked one too many questions, and they said, I think it's time for you to visit a mosque. And I kind of went, ooh, not sure about that. Me? In a mosque? You know what I mean? And if you think, when was the last time you walked into a church, or a synagogue, or anywhere you don't necessarily normally go? That's quite scary, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I thought, right, no, I'm going to do it. I'm big enough, I'm ugly enough, I can do it. And I remember it was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday evening, and it's back before sat-nav or mobile phones or computers weren't brilliant, 20 odd years ago. So I just drove to what I assumed was kind of Muslim type places. And eventually I found a mosque. I found a masjid. I thought, brilliant. And I pulled up outside this masjid, and then some people came out of it who, I'll be honest, didn't look like me. And I kind of got a bit nervous. So I pulled out, drove off, and thought, right, no, I'll come back. I'll come back. Oh, I know. I'm off on Friday afternoon. I'll come back Friday lunchtime. It won't be busy then.
Jummah.
Yeah, I learned that one. Friday. Now, what can you tell me about Jummah? Yeah, Friday. When you're trying to park outside a mosque, what happens? It's a nightmare. There is no parking. Would you agree? No parking. I pull up on Jummah, and first of all, there's all these people who don't look like me go into the mosque. I'm thinking, oh. Guess what was outside the masjid? Parking space. On the street, outside the masjid, a parking space. So I thought, well, I'm here now. So I pulled into the parking space. It's all ordained, this. You know what I mean? I approached the mosque. They gave me that look that says, is he here to check the fire escapes? You know what I mean? And as I approached, I went, what can we do for you, brother? And I said, well, I'll be honest with you. I'm really interested in Islam, but I've got a couple of questions. It was like, boom! Oh, no, I can't do that.
You're not allowed to say boom. No. People get nervous.
It all changed. Their faces, oh, come on, brother, come on in. And, they did Jummah. And then after that, no, hang about, come on. The coffee came out, the tea came out, the orange juice, the cake, and the smiles. The faces, the noor, I now know. The light, it was incredible. And so I just found myself completely at ease in people that I felt like I should have been born to be around. It was surreal. So, long story short, within a month, I'd taken my Shahada. The rest, as they say, is history. But I got back in touch with the person that I'd been hassling for information, who I'd been on the phone to. I said, just out of interest, every single time I said, ask a question, they said, don't worry, I'm learning too. Don't worry, I'm learning too. So just out of interest, what did you learn? They said, sabr. Patience. I'm like, oh, it's so true, isn't it? It's so true. You've got this annoying white bloke, you know what I mean? And it was sabr. So number one, this work is so important. Yeah, my life was saved on that day. I don't want to minimise it. Would you all agree? Consider where I could have been going and where, inshallah, if I work incredibly hard, I might go now. That's amazing. So we were given a gift on those days. You had that gift at birth. How lucky are you? I could go on and on. I could. Basically,
you usually do.
I usually do. You invited me to talk about my two favourite things, me and Islam. You know what I mean? I'm going to stop now because I'm conscious that you have a programme that's so important. We've got so much more information to take. The first thing I need everybody to do, though, is if you'd be kind enough to get your phones out. If everybody could get your phone out. People looking at me like, no, I mean it. Everybody get the phone out. Yusuf and I were then brought together completely by chance, completely by accident, or so we thought, all part of Allah's plan. And we made a decision to put videos on the internet telling everybody how amazing Islam is, how cool Islam is, and how beautiful Muslims are. We are called the two white Muslims. It's not through choice. That's just what people call us. When we drive around this great British Isle and we wander into mosque, they'll say, you never guess who's been in? We've had that Junaid and Yusuf in.
Who?
At Junaid and Yusuf.
Who's that then?
Those two white Muslims. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just what people call us. So if you'll be kind enough to go to YouTube, everybody now type in YouTube. I'll say it's
already.
Go to YouTube and type in two white Muslims. That's TWO, two white Muslims. It is a legal requirement that you subscribe to that YouTube channel. Already done it. Alhamdulillah.
Actually, seriously, we've been in talks with the BBC about making a documentary all about the positive impact that Muslims have in this country. And I think it's a documentary that should have been made 20 years ago. And they've kind of agreed, but they've said, well, who are you? Who are you? How do we trust that what you're saying is true? So they said, we'll wait and see your numbers grow. Yeah, we've got 36,500 subscribers on YouTube. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah. Just help us to make that grow so that, inshallah, we can get back with the BBC and they'll make this documentary, which we will have the editorial on. In other words, we decide what gets shown, they don't. So it helps us to increase the numbers, inshallah. That's all.
Thank you very much indeed for your time today, brother.
Just a question.
Yes.
Just quickly answer how you met together.
How we met?
Yeah, well, this is
How
amazing.
did we meet? We met 14 years ago.
Yep. No.
I've been trying to shake him off ever
17
since.
years ago.
17.
Before Zian was born.
I've been trying to shake him off ever since. He just won't go.
I'm very needy.
Yeah, I know you
Tell
are.
me like me.
No.
Tell me like me.
No. The truth is, I don't.
He puts up with me. I, as I said, was born and raised in Sheffield. I then moved to Wakefield.
You got promoted.
He says I got promoted. I moved to Wakefield. And whenever you move in this country, you move on a Friday. Yeah, you move on Jummah. So we moved on a Friday. I missed Jummah prayer. So I thought, right, I need to go and do Jummah, but I have to do it later on. So in the evening, Friday evening, I went looking for the mosque. I didn't even know where there was one. We moved to Wakefield thinking, well, it's near M1, M62. That'll do. And I saw a mosque. I thought, oh, great. And I drove and I missed it. So I thought, I'll go down to the bottom of the road, turn around and come back to that masjid. At the bottom of the road, there was another masjid. So I thought, oh, I'm here now. Got out, went into that masjid, literally walked in. You know, when you're really nervous, you don't look at anything. Walked in, sat down. Who was I sat next to?
And I turned to him and said, I'm the only white Muslim in here. What are you, some kind of imposter? I mean, what do you want from these people? And from that moment onwards, you know, I've been, like I said, I've been trying to shake him off. And we've been good friends, and alhamdulillah. I hope that shows. But you know, everything that we do is for the cause of inviting people to what is the coolest and most beautiful religion in the world. You know, this is something that over 5,000 people in this country alone embraced Islam in the last 12 months. And inshallah, that trend is going to continue. Mm-hmm. But it can only continue if the people in this room continue to do the works that you do in showing and displaying good character.
Yes.
Good business ethics, smiles, be nice with people, and tell people in simple terms what is Islam and who are Muslims, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah. Thank you, guys.
So it just remains for me to say, Assalamu alaikum
Wa rahmatullahi
wa barakatuh.
I've been Junaid Rahim.
I've been Muhammad Yusuf Bashforth,
And together we've been...
the two white Muslims.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.